Part 55. Survival of the Beasts, Awakening the Beast Taming System at the Beginning. Author, Ji Sheng Chong. Chapter 541. At this moment, the space-time beast also suddenly realized, and he glanced in Lin Yu's direction. I understand. There must be another very powerful space-time beast nearby. If there is another very powerful space-time beast, then everything will be explained. Lin Yu pondered for a moment. What do you mean by this? Another powerful space-time alien beast? But I clearly didn't feel the breath of any alien beast. Are you sure you didn't feel it wrong? The space-time beast shook his head. Of course not, believe me. Lin Yu thought for a while and said, if that's the case, fine, but what do you want to do now? How can we lure that strange beast out? Now he is in the dark and we are in the light. It's a headache. At this moment, the space-time beast took a step forward, and then immediately revealed its pressure completely, and then heard a roar from the mouth of the space-time beast, Tier Space-Time. But even though the current space-time beast has launched the space-time tier, the space in front of the space-time beast is still unmoved and unmoved. The space-time beast just started to desperately gather its power in front of it. The world around it even trembled slightly, but this space was unusually strong for some reason, and there was no way for the space-time beast to break through it. The space around this. However, the space-time beast was extremely happy at this time, and it seemed a little abnormal. You obviously failed, why are you still so happy? Lin Yu turned around and glanced at the space-time beast, with a bit of confusion in his eyes. The space-time beast just smiled, and then explained to Lin Yu. You don't know something right now. The reason why I'm so happy is for no other reason than that my guess is correct. There are really some nasty guys doing mischief nowadays. But the only one who has a headache is probably that guy. The power of time and space is a bit stronger than mine, so it may be difficult to defeat this guy with the power of time and space. Lin Yu's face turned slightly cold. What should we do now? The space-time beast pondered for a moment. Judging from the strength of the Eternal Thunder Dragon and Fire Kylin, it should be no problem to force him out. As for whether he can survive, after all, time and space it is the most original power and the purest power in the world, so. The space-time beast paused when he said this. Lin Yu touched his chin and pondered for a moment. If you were to break through to the god level, would you be able to deal with that guy? When the time and space beast heard what Lin Yu said, he was instantly ecstatic. He suppressed the excitement in his heart and nodded like a chicken pecking at rice. Of course I can deal with that guy. Don't worry, as long as you break through me to the god level, I'm confident enough to catch that guy and let him be your mount. Seeing the time and space beast being so excited, Lin Yu blushed, and he just coughed lightly. Ahem, hey, if we wait, there might be a way, but now, I'm afraid. When Lin Yu said this, he paused. When the space-time beast heard Lin Yu say this, it just forced a smile from the corner of its mouth, and then spoke softly. It doesn't matter, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to me anyway. I can wait and wait until I have the opportunity to make a breakthrough later. It doesn't matter at all. It's just that although the space-time beast said this, there was no way to hide the helplessness and sadness in his words. After waiting for a while, Lin Yu also felt that the space-time beast had indeed broken through without his care for a long time, but not only the space-time beast, but also other strange beasts had not broken through for a long, long time. When Lin Yu thought of this, there was obviously a bit of sadness in his eyes. After pondering for a moment, Lin Yu still called back the space-time beast, and then with a thought, the fire unicorn and the eternal thunder dragon, this one suddenly appeared in front of Lin Yu. Lin Yu glanced at the two of them, and then said in a deep voice, I don't need to say more about what to do next, you should also know it, it's up to you. Success or failure depends on this. Lin Yu said in a deep voice. Fire Kylan and Eternal Thunder Dragon took a step forward, and then immediately spewed out a ball of flame and a ball of thunder and lightning from their mouths, and the two balls of breath spread across the sky. In just a moment, they had completely merged together, and there was a scream in that space, and an extremely huge figure was suddenly revealed in front of everyone. At this moment, when the huge figure was revealed, Lin Yu heard the faint voices of several people in the distance. Ha ha ha, great, I finally found it. If my prediction is correct, this should be the temple of the goddess of nature. I just don't know why, but the temple of the goddess of nature has already collapsed to this point. It's a pity. After Lin Yu heard the voices of those people, his expression suddenly changed. At this time, Lin Yu looked forward and saw that the monster was shaped like a giant dragon from the west, but it had two heads. One head had its eyes closed, and the other had its eyes wide open. It looked a bit strange. The two-headed dragon of time and space roared after seeing Lin Yu, and the strong sense of oppression on its body was revealed. Strange beast, space-time two-headed dragon, level 6 god, level 49. Qualification, alien, intermediate. Life, 99999999999999777. Speed, 999999999999777. Defense, 99999999999999777. Attack, 99999999999979997. Skills, unknown. Introduction, lives in the cracks of space-time, uses the heart of space-time in a space as its heart, is extremely powerful, has the ability to comprehend space-time on its own, has unpredictable moves, is strange and infinite, kills invisibly, and is silent. After feeling the pressure from this guy, Wang Guzhulong took a step forward. Survival of the Beasts, Awakening the Beast Taming System at the Beginning. Author, Ji Shengchang. Chapter 542. There were about 4 people in the group. They were wearing the uniforms of an academy. They were probably practitioners from the same academy on this continent. Among them was a girl with white skin, narrow eyes, flowing eyes, and a graceful figure. The eyes of the people around her would always look at the girl from time to time, and the admiration in her eyes could not be concealed at all. But the girl seemed unmoved. After walking a few steps forward, she realized that something was wrong in this time and space. The girl's face turned pale instantly, and then she turned her head and looked at them. The girl waved her hand. There may be some danger ahead. If you are afraid, you can stop now and stop moving forward. The girl's voice appeared in everyone's ears. Everyone looked at each other, and then shook their heads firmly. No matter what, we have to go ahead and take a look. Even if there are mountains ahead, they can't stop us. The eyes of those people were full of determination. After seeing this scene, the girl just sighed faintly. Alas, why are you so stubborn? I feel 2 extremely powerful auras in front of me. But when the girl said this, her face changed instantly. She swallowed her saliva, and then shook her head frantically. No, no, not 2 powerful auras, but 3. They are all very scary. We can't go forward. And at this moment, the Desert God King suddenly appeared in front of them. After seeing these humans in front of him, the Desert God King couldn't help but swallow his saliva. Tisk tisk tisk, I didn't expect that I could encounter such delicious food while helping the adults to guard here. Ha ha ha, it's really a blessing from heaven, it's really a blessing from heaven. After seeing the Desert God King, the team's eyes were instantly straightened, their faces began to slowly become ugly, and then they subconsciously prepared to withdraw and dodge backwards. You, what do you want to do? We are warning you, we are disciples of the Battle Academy, if you dare to kill the elders of our Chemistry Academy, we will never let you go. After hearing what the girl said, the Desert God King was really a little hesitant at the time. After all, the Battle Academy is famous for protecting its calves. If this time it is really as the girl said, and he kills the girl, the group of old guys in the Battle Academy who protect their calves may really come to the desert to make trouble for him. At this time, while the desert god king was hesitating, a man raised the giant sword in his hand, and then immediately after thinking, a lord-level beast appeared under his crotch. The young man seemed to want to show off in front of the girl, so he was working very hard at this time. After the girl saw this scene, she stretched out her hand and shouted, "No." But it was obvious that the young man didn't hear what the girl said. The giant sword fell on the head of the desert god king. The young man was full of self-satisfaction and turned his head to look at the girl. "How is it? My swordsmanship is not bad." At this moment, the girl felt like she was falling into an ice cave, and the whole person became speechless in an instant. "Alas, stupid, how can there be such a stupid guy like you? Run away." The desert god king was at least a leader. He had just been threatened by Lin Yu, and the bad breath in his chest had not been released. Now he was provoked by this group of little guys. The desert god king naturally couldn't stand it. The desert god king just let out an angry roar, and then he flew towards them, his pupils full of coldness. "Little guys, since you want to die, you really can't blame me. There is a road to heaven but you don't take it, but you come to hell." The desert god king's tone was extremely cold, and his speed was extremely fast. In just a moment, he came behind them. The desert god king raised his claws and clawed at the person who was attacked by the four of them first. In the end, the person who was attacked was frozen through the body by a claw. The desert god king opened his bloody mouth and swallowed him whole. The scene looked very bloody, and the girl even cried a little. But when the desert god king wanted to attack again, a strong impact force rushed over directly. The desert god king didn't even react. He was directly blown away by this strong impact force and fell heavily to the ground. He looked extremely embarrassed. In the end, the desert god king spurted out a mouthful of blood, and his eyes were full of helplessness. The remaining people were also not in a good situation. This force was mixed with Lin Yu's power. The desert god king thought that Lin Yu was warning him not to hurt these humans. As the saying goes, people have to bow their heads under the eaves. The desert god king was also completely shocked by Lin Yu's powerful and terrifying strength. Although Lin Yu did not make a clear statement at this time, the desert god king just glanced coldly at the group of little guys, and then said in a deep voice, well, since the adults are angry, you should get out of here. You are lucky today, so I will let you go first." After hearing what the desert god king said, those people were ecstatic. At this time, they didn't care about so much at all. They quickly packed up their things and got up and fled. The desert god king was also crying at this moment. After all, for him, Lin Yu's behavior was indeed a bit too much. But now the desert god king was just angry but dared not say anything. He didn't dare to say anything more, so he could only swallow this dumb loss secretly. After this incident, the disciples of the academy no longer dared to move forward. The remaining two men looked at the girl. "Miss Tugu, let's not go any further. If we continue forward, I'm afraid." You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Survival of the Beasts, Awakening the Beast Taming System at the Beginning. Author, Ji Sheng Chong. Chapter 543. A fair-looking man who looked like a rich young man scratched his head and then whispered. The other muscular man also looked at Tugu Qinghong, and then looked at Murong Kong. Although Murong Kong can't give any reasonable advice on weekdays, under the current situation, what Murong Kong said is really true. If it continues like this, it will be very troublesome. Tugu Qinghong looked at the two of them, and then sighed, well, okay, everyone has their own aspirations, I won't force it. If you two want to leave, then you can leave now. Dugu Qinghong slowly stood up, with a bit of determination in his eyes. At this time, Murong Kong and Wu Zhan looked at Dugu Qinghong, and a bit of complexity flashed in their eyes. What about you? Qinghong. What do you want to do? Dugu Qinghong's eyes were fixed on the temple of the goddess of nature in front of her. She said in a sonorous and powerful voice, I must go to the temple to see what's going on. Murong Kong and Wu Zhan looked at each other. They also knew that once Dugu Qinghong made a decision, no one could persuade this little girl to come back. At this time, Lin Yu stepped on the eternal thunder dragon and carried the fire Kirin on his shoulders. His eyes were fixed on the time and space two-headed dragon in front of him. When the time and space two-headed dragon saw Lin Yu like this, his face instantly became gloomy, and a fierce murderous aura emanated from him. That strong and domineering power simply forced the time and space two-headed dragon to temporarily avoid its edge. Although your two beasts are both very powerful, it is not so easy to kill me. Listen to my advice. Where did you come from? Go back there, hurry back. The space-time two-headed dragon stared at Lin Yu. Lin Yu summoned Thor's hammer. He held Thor's hammer in his hand and smiled. Although I have to admit that your strength is indeed not weak, what can I do even if it is so? Today I can tell you that I will kill you, I said. The murderous aura on Lin Yu's body began to spread quietly. The fierce and domineering momentum called the space-time two-headed dragon, and it felt a pure pressure. The two-headed dragon of time and space subconsciously took a few steps back, his face slightly gloomy. Do you really want to fight with me? I tell you, there is no turning back once the arrow is shot. No matter how powerful you are, can you be stronger than this time and space? The eternal thunder dragon spit out a thunderbolt. Although there was no response to the oncoming attack, it was already the best response. This chaotic thunderbolt was extremely powerful. If it were an ordinary person, he would not even dare to look directly at it. But at this time, the two-headed dragon of time and space did not feel any fear. He just stood there without dodging or evading. After a moment, when there was only half a mouthful of chaotic thunderbolt left from the face of the two-headed dragon of time and space, it was instantly completely annihilated by a force of time and space. The eternal thunder dragon stood above the void, with arcs flashing all over his body. Those arcs burned the air and made a crackling sound. At this moment, the fire Kirin also tentatively spit out a mouthful of Kirin True Fire, and the Kirin True Fire, when it came to the time and space two-headed dragon, was dissipated silently. Lin Yu was of course clear that the reason why the time and space two-headed dragon could do this was entirely because the space in front of him was a completely disordered time and space. The disordered time and space did not forcibly dissipate this force, but forcibly transferred this force to other places. Now, the most difficult thing is how to attack the time and space two-headed dragon. The two sides were deadlocked for a while. After a moment, the time and space two-headed dragon suddenly spoke. Actually, we can cooperate, but I don't know if you want to or not. After Lin Yu heard the space-time two-headed dragon say this, he glanced at the space-time two-headed dragon, and then said in a deep voice, Interesting, it's really interesting, why do you want to cooperate with us? The space-time two-headed dragon was slightly stunned, because the master should wake up from his deep sleep. In such a chaotic world, the master must not continue to fall into deep sleep. Lin Yu nodded slightly. Yes, we can wake up your master, but the prerequisite. After hearing what Lin Yu said, the space-time two-headed dragon just coughed lightly. Ahem, I understand what you said, and I agree to it. Lin Yu never thought that the space-time two-headed dragon would agree to his conditions so straightforwardly. Why? At this time, it was Lin Yu who was a little confused. His eyes stared at the space-time two-headed dragon, and there was a bit of confusion on his face. After a moment of silence, the space-time two-headed dragon sighed. No reason. The two smiled at each other. At this time, the space-time two-headed dragon exuded a force of space-time from its body. The force of space-time was quite gentle and had no hostility towards them. However, Lin Yu still couldn't figure it out. The behavior of the two-headed dragon in this time and space seemed a little abnormal, but even if this guy was a little abnormal, Lin Yu had no way to deal with it. After a while, the force directly sent them to another time and space. At this time, they saw two completely identical temples, but when Lin Yu walked to the back, he was blocked by an invisible space barrier. At this time, Lin Yu also understood the clues, just shook his head and smiled, and didn't say much at the time. At this moment, the voice of the two-headed dragon in time and space suddenly sounded. The master is suppressed under this throne, in the crystal coffin that has been there for thousands of years. If you want to revive the master, you must face the evil dragon dog. The guy's strength is very terrifying, and he carries the breath of the underworld, and has been cursed by the underworld. Anyone who is infected by him will instantly be sucked of all their vitality. At this moment, the voice of the two-headed dragon in time and space echoed in their ears. Survival of the Beasts, Awakening the Beast Taming System at the Beginning. Author, Ji Sheng Chong. Chapter 544. After the Eternal Thunder Dragon heard what the space-time two-headed dragon said, he just pondered for a moment. At this time, the Eternal Thunder Dragon, who originally disdained everything in the world, suddenly became a little solemn. This evil dragon dog is said to have been cursed by the underworld. It is said that this evil dragon dog cannot see the light in his life, and he has to return to the Styx every 100 years to receive the baptism of the Styx. The baptism of the Styx will wash away all his flesh and skin bit by bit every time, and then gradually recover after 7 days. However, the benefit is that after each baptism, his physical strength is much higher than before. Eternal Thunder Dragon's words, even Lin Yu felt a strong sense of oppression. Lin Yu took a deep breath, and then calmed down a little. What should I do now? At this time, the Eternal Thunder Dragon pondered for a moment. It's a bit difficult to hurt him with my lightning power, but that guy is most afraid of fire. Maybe the Kylan True Fire can hurt him, but all this is just my speculation, and I don't know whether it's true or not. After hearing what the Eternal Thunder Dragon said, Lin Yu just pondered for a moment and clenched his fists. Okay, if that's the case, then it's fine. This time I want to see how powerful this guy is. Lin Yu took a step forward suddenly, and the terrifying strength and pressure on his body made everyone's mind tremble. Lin Yu's steps were full of determination. After all, he really needed the 800 million points. And if he really had the 800 million points, he could exchange for the spiritual ascension pill to directly upgrade all his exotic beasts to the chaos level, and even the space-time beast and the 5-clawed king dragon, and the Hiluyu might be able to upgrade to the god level. When Lin Yu thought of this, he slowly walked forward. There was a giant sword in front of the throne. The giant sword seemed to be the weapon of the goddess of nature. Pull out the giant sword, which means you are going to war with the dragon and the evil dog. After hearing the words of the two-headed dragon of time and space, Lin Yu just pondered for a moment, and then a trace of determination flashed in his eyes. Then he took a step forward and pulled out the giant sword. Then there was a tremor around, and the space around seemed to be about to collapse. A black breath gradually began to spread. When the surrounding stones came into contact with the dark breath, they turned into powder in an instant. After seeing this scene, Lin Yu was fully prepared for the battle. He took a step forward with a very firm step. The evil dragon dog suddenly appeared in front of Lin Yu. At this time, the evil dragon dog was very big, but for some reason, when it was about to grow larger than the temple, it suddenly began to shrink slowly. The evil dragon dog had 3 dog heads, a dragon body and wings. He looked down at Lin Yu from a high position. Little guy, I am very grateful to you, thank you for releasing me, I have to thank you, I have to thank you. After the evil dragon dog said this, he couldn't help but laugh wildly. The laughter was so harsh that everyone's heart couldn't help but tremble. The Eternal Thunder Dragon took a step forward, his eyes fixed on the demon dragon hound, and then he shook his head. "Stupid guy, I don't know why you are so arrogant, and I don't know who gave you the courage to be so disrespectful to me." The voice of the Eternal Thunder Dragon sounded in the ears of the demon dragon hound. After hearing the voice of the Eternal Thunder Dragon, the demon dragon hound turned his head and looked at the Eternal Thunder Dragon. "I didn't expect it to be you. I didn't expect you to be unsealed. This really caught me off guard. However, your strength seems to be much weaker than before. It seems to be because of your useless master." After Lin Yu heard what the demon dragon hound said, his face instantly became ugly. "Really? But do you believe it? Even if his current useless master kills you, it's as easy as taking something out of his bag. If you don't believe it, let's make a bet today, how about it?" Lin Yu said in a cold voice, with a gloomy look between his eyebrows, and the murderous aura on his body was so fierce. At this time, after hearing what Lin Yu said, the devil dragon and the evil dog sneered. "Really? I'm really curious. I really want you to kill me. Hurry up." Facing the provocation of the devil dragon and the evil dog, the Eternal Thunder Dragon did not hesitate at all and directly sprayed a mouthful of Chaos Deo Thunder from his mouth. The speed of this Chaos Deo Thunder was extremely fast. It came to the front of the devil dragon and the evil dog in just a moment. The devil dragon goose dog just opened its bloody mouth and swallowed the Chaos Deo Thunder in one mouthful, and then burped. "Burp, it's really comfortable." Lin Yu's face tightened. Even he never expected that this evil dragon dog would have such strength. He stared at the evil dragon dog, and then took a deep breath. At this moment, the voice of the Eternal Thunder Dragon suddenly sounded in Lin Yu's ears. "This guy is difficult to deal with. What should we do now? If we want to deal with him, it will be very difficult if we don't pay a price." After Lin Yu heard what the Eternal Thunder Dragon said, his brows seemed to be twisted together, and he pondered for a moment. "So what do you think we should do now? We can't let this guy continue to be so arrogant. I can't swallow this anger." Eternal Thunder Dragon chuckled. "Actually, I do have a way. According to legend, the third scale on the chest of this dragon dog was once pierced by Hercules, but the dragon dog escaped quickly, so it barely escaped. This time, if you can find a way to hit the third scale on his chest with Thor's hammer, you may get something." After hearing what Eternal Thunder Dragon said, Lin Yu nodded slightly. Survival of the Beasts, Awakening the Beast Taming System at the Beginning. Author, Ji Sheng Chong. Chapter 545. At this time, Lin Yu suddenly rushed up. His speed was extremely fast. In just a moment, he was in front of the Hell Dog. He raised the Thor's hammer in his hand. It hit the Hell Dog's chest hard like this. The Hell Dog never expected that Lin Yu would be so fierce, but he was not a vegetarian. He suddenly turned sideways, and then dodged Lin Yu's head-on blow. Then, the Hell Dog flicked its tail so powerfully that it hit Lin Yu's chest so hard. Lin Yu was thrown backward so hard that he fell heavily to the ground. At this moment, he only felt a surge in his chest. After a moment, a mouthful of blood spurted out directly from Lin Yu's mouth. Lin Yu forcibly calmed down his mind. After waiting for a while, he glanced at Eternal Thunder Dragon with a resentful look on his face. What on earth is going on? This guy is probably a little too strong in terms of speed and strength. Bar. There was also a bit of helplessness in Eternal Thunder Dragon's eyes. What you said is indeed true. This big guy's power is too strong, but now we have no other way, right? The Eternal Thunder Dragon's answer was Lin Yu, almost spitting out a mouthful of old blood. Stop talking nonsense. Is there any other way? Is there any other way to teach this damn guy a lesson? Eternal Thunder Dragon pondered for a moment. There is really a way, but I'm just afraid you can't do it. What can I do? Come on, don't wait here. The two of us went up to entangle him first, and then you saw the two horns on his head. As long as you cut off his two horns, they will completely lose the source of their power. In that case, we can still win. Although the two horns are extremely fragile, they contain the powerful will of Pluto, so they may not be that easy to get. Lin Yu glared fiercely at Eternal Thunder Dragon. For some reason, Lin Yu always felt that this Eternal Thunder Dragon was plotting against him. As for why he felt this way, even Lin Yu himself couldn't explain clearly. Lin Yu said dubiously, "Are you telling the truth?" Eternal Thunder Dragon just coughed lightly, "Ahem, don't you still believe what I said?" 3 black lines appeared on Lin Yu's forehead. "You are the one I don't believe the most." Eternal Thunder Dragon. But after this moment, Eternal Thunder Dragon just smiled, "Ha ha ha, actually you don't have to be like this. Believe me, as long as you are willing to fight to the death, you will definitely gain something when the time comes." Lin Yu. The two people just looked at each other. At this time, Lin Yu gritted his teeth, "Forget it, let's fight to the death, let's fight." After Lin Yu finished speaking, he jumped up. His speed was extremely fast, and then he rushed towards the evil dragon dog. At this moment, the Eternal Thunder Dragon and the Fire Kylin were rushing towards the Eternal Thunder Dragon. After the three of them rushed towards the demonic dragon dog at the same time, "Demonic dragon dog, your eyes flashed. A bit overcast. There is a way to heaven but you don't take it? There is no way to hell. You just come and cast yourself into it? If that's the case, then just suffer death." The voice of the demon dragon and the evil dog rang in their ears. At this time, everyone heard the demon's breathing sound. After everyone saw this scene, their expressions began to become a little solemn. After waiting for a while, several of them were in a group, and the scene began to become much more complicated at this moment. At this moment, they were flying up and down, moving left and right. Although this fire unicorn is small, the true fire of the unicorn it spurts out can still burn some of the death energy emanating from the demonic dragon dog. And the demon dragon vicious dog never expected that the strength of these few people would be so terrifying and difficult to deal with. After waiting for a while, everyone heard the demon dragon, and the evil dog let out an angry roar. After that roar, a violent and domineering force erupted from the demon dragon and the evil dog's mouth. It began to spread gradually over the body. That pure death energy began to envelope Lin Yu. After Lin Yu felt the pure death energy emanating from the evil dragon dog, his expression gradually began to look ugly. At this moment, although Lin Yu tried his best to get close to the two horns of the evil dragon dog, but every time he was about to succeed, the evil dragon dog would always dodge cleverly. At this time, Lin Yu was also speechless, and he couldn't help but feel helpless for a while. After a while, Lin Yu couldn't help it anymore. No matter what, I will fight with you today." Lin Yu forcibly used his own thunder and lightning power to break through the shackles of the evil dragon dog. Then he rushed directly in front of the evil dragon dog, and then he raised the Thor's hammer and struck it heavily. It hit the demonic dragon dog directly. After seeing this scene, the demonic dragon dog was instantly stunned. At this moment, the Eternal Thunder Dragon was also desperately biting one of the dragon wings of the evil dragon dog, and then forcibly biting off one of the dragon wings of the evil dragon dog. The evil dragon dog screamed, and then lost consciousness for a moment. Lin Yu took advantage of this opportunity to swing the Thor's hammer heavily and smashed it on the head of the evil dragon dog. Lin Yu's all-out attack directly broke one of the dragon horns of the evil dragon dog. At this time, Lin Yu looked at the dragon horn of the evil dragon dog and grabbed it directly. The endless meaning of the sticks flowed continuously towards Lin Yu's left hand, and suddenly rushed in. At this moment, Lin Yu only felt the extremely powerful force surging into his body. There was a flash of disbelief in Lin Yu's eyes. At this moment, He only felt the endless death energy drilling into his palm, making him feel a pain like millions of ants biting at the same time. Lin Yu endured the pain, and at this moment, he saw the endless Styxes will directly corrode the flesh on Lin Yu's left hand completely, and in the end, the dragon horn was crushed into slag. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Survival of the Beasts, Awakening the Beast Taming System at the Beginning. Author, Ji Sheng Chong. Chapter 546. After seeing his dragon horn being smashed by Lin Yu, the evil dragon dog became furious. At this moment, he heard an angry roar from his mouth, I want to kill you, I want to kill you, shattered into pieces. Lin Yu never expected that this evil dragon dog could be so angry. Moreover, the terrifying power displayed by the evil dragon dog at this time also made Lin Yu doubt his life, because he felt that the evil dragon dog seemed to be a bit stronger than before. Lin Yu glared fiercely at Eternal Thunder Dragon, are you lying to me? Why do you feel that this guy is stronger than before? What is going on? What are you doing to me? Let's understand. After Eternal Thunder Dragon heard what Lin Yu said and said, he was also full of confusion at this moment, and the huge dragon head was played like this rattle. I don't know what is going on. According to the records in ancient books, the source of the power of this evil dragon and evil dog is clearly his two dragon horns. Now that you have cut off one of his dragon horns, his strength should have been greatly reduced. Why is he getting stronger now? Lin Yu almost spat out a mouthful of old blood at that time. Stop talking nonsense and think of a way now to see if there is any way to resolve it. The demonic dragon's evil dog's eyes widened in anger, staring at Lin Yu, and the murderous aura in his body began to quietly gather. Boy, you don't have to waste your efforts. I'm here to tell you today that you don't have any chance. Be good and accept death. The evil dragon dog opened its bloody mouth. He first bit the Eternal Thunder Dragon. After the Eternal Thunder Dragon was bitten by the evil dragon dog, he quickly released countless chaos on his body. Deole. This chaos Deole shocked the devil dragon dog's mouth to numbness, but at this time, the devil dragon dog still had no intention of letting go. The Eternal Thunder Dragon only felt the endless meaning of the Styx, rushing towards his body. At this moment, the breath of the Eternal Thunder Dragon began to gradually weaken. No, something bad is going on. We can't keep going like this. If we keep going like this, I'm afraid we all have to stay here. The voice of the Eternal Thunder Dragon suddenly came to mind. Lin Yu also understood what Eternal Thunder Dragon meant. I understand, leave it to me. After Lin Yu finished speaking, he ignored the pain in his left hand and the wound on his left hand, and then rushed towards the demon dragon dog again. The other head of the evil dragon dog originally had its eyes closed, but when Lin Yu came and arrived in front of the other head of the evil dragon dog, the evil dragon dog opened its eyes instantly. Lin Yu even felt a desolation like hell in the eyes of the evil dragon dog. At this time, he subconsciously retreated back. After several steps, he finally managed to stabilize his body. The eyes of the evil dragon and evil dog were filled with endless desolation. Little guy, you deserve to die. At this time, Lin Yu didn't believe in evil. He just sneered, I want to die, but I don't believe you have the strength to kill me. The demon dragon vicious dog also laughed like this for a moment. At this time, the demon dragon vicious dog seemed to be completely crazy. Ha ha ha, you don't believe that I have the strength to kill you, do you? Then I will let you believe it today. After the demonic dragon dog finished speaking, two blood-red rays of light flashed in his eyes. The two blood-red rays of light shot straight into the sky, towards Lin Yu, and began to converge crazily. That violent and domineering power made everyone's hearts tremble. After the Eternal Thunder Dragon felt the two bloody lights ejected from the eyes of the evil dragon dog, A certain amount of fear clearly flashed through the depths of its eyes. How is it possible? This is the eternal blood eye, the legendary light that comes from the bottom of the Styx. How could it appear in your eyes? How is this possible? What did you get from going to the Styx? Eternal Thunder Dragon's voice even trembled slightly. The evil dragon dog looked up to the sky and laughed wildly, ha ha ha, you will never know how many opportunities I have gained in that endless abyss, but these are not important anymore, you just need to know that you will soon. It would be nice to be a corpse. After the demonic dragon dog finished speaking, it opened its huge mouth and bit Lin Yu directly. At this time, the evil dragon dog didn't leave any room. At this moment, he wanted to tear Lin Yu into pieces. At this moment, Lin Yu actually didn't dodge at all. At this moment, she tightened her grip on the hammer in her hand, and without saying a word, she actually faced the demon dragon and the vicious dog, and rushed over. The demonic dragon dog suddenly had an ominous premonition in his heart. At this moment, he suddenly dodged sideways. Lin Yu's speed was very fast, and his eyes were full of determination, a determination to live towards death. At this time, the demonic dragon dog had some bad premonitions in his heart, but he didn't care so much and rushed towards Lin Yu without saying a word. The two collided, and then an extremely powerful force burst out. Then Lin Yu swung the Thunder God's hammer, and the endless electric arc struck the body of the evil dragon and evil dog. At this moment, the evil dragon and evil dog felt that he was even a little distracted. Just this slight loss of concentration has already determined the winner. Lin Yu swung the Thor's hammer again, and the Thor's hammer struck hard on the other horn of the demonic dragon dog, and the horn broke. The demon dragon vicious dog let out a painful roar at this moment, and then fell down and hit the ground heavily, looking even more embarrassed. Lin Yu stood in the sky, looking down at the demonic dragon dog from a high position, his eyes full of contempt and disdain. At this moment, after the two dragon horns were smashed, the evil dragon dog didn't lose all the source of power as the eternal thunder dragon said. The eyes of the other head of the evil dragon dog showed a blood-red color. Boy, you will pay the price for your actions. I said, you will die today. After the demonic dragon dog finished speaking, a tyrannical force suddenly burst out from his body. Survival of the Beasts, Awakening the Beast Taming System at the Beginning. Author, Ji Sheng Chong. Chapter 547. Lin Yu was stunned when he saw this scene. He couldn't understand why the evil dragon dog looked like this. At this time, after the other tentacle of the demon dragon dog was caught by Lin Yu, the endless battle of the Styx also attacked Lin Yu's left arm. Perhaps because he had experienced the same pain once, Lin Yu's reaction at this moment was actually extremely calm. But at this moment, Lin Yu also glared fiercely at Eternal Thunder Dragon, with a rather gloomy look in his eyes. Hey, I said you should also give me a reasonable explanation. The Eternal Thunder Dragon was as confused as a 2-foot-tall monk. He stood there thinking for a long time and couldn't figure out why this evil dragon dog was so tyrannical. What is the reason for this, I can't explain, but this is a bit too strange. Eternal Thunder Dragon just said helplessly. 3 black lines appeared on Lin Yu's forehead. Stop talking nonsense, the most urgent task now is to quickly think of a solution, how to deal with it next. Does this devil dragon dog have any weaknesses? The Eternal Thunder Dragon thought for a moment, then shook its huge dragon head. As for other weaknesses, I don't know for the time being. Lin Yu. At this time, Lin Yu suddenly noticed the changes in his left arm. He just clenched his fist so lightly, and then he pushed forward so lightly, and a ball of very pure Styx energy came out. Just flew out from his left hand. That ball of pure Styx energy fiercely attacked the body of the demon dragon and evil dog. At this time, the evil dragon and evil dog also had to temporarily avoid the sharp edge of this mass of Styx energy. After Lin Yu saw this scene, his face suddenly became happy, and then he burst into laughter. Ha ha ha, I understand, I understand. After Lin Yu finished speaking, without saying a word, he just attacked the demon dragon and the vicious dog again. The demonic dragon dog just dodged left and right this time, not daring to let Lin Yu's left hand touch him. Lin Yu glanced at Eternal Thunder Dragon and Fire Kylin at the same time. Thunder Prison. Kylin kills God's will. As soon as Lin Yu finished speaking, he saw countless arcs of electricity suddenly appearing around the demon dragon dog. Then these arcs formed fences one after another, surrounding the demonic dragon dog. The dragon and evil dog were trapped in it. The evil dragon dog looked around and suddenly had a bad feeling in his heart. He struggled desperately to break free, but for some reason he couldn't break free at all. At this moment, the Kylin True Fire turned into an extremely powerful sword intent, slashing directly at the neck of the evil dragon dog. At this time, Lin Yu also inserted his left fist and swung it towards the other head of the demonic dragon dog. The powerful force suddenly attacked like this. Finally, Lin Yu punched one side of the demon dragon dog's head from the left, and Kylin Chen Tianyi punched the other side of the demon dragon dog's head from the right. Both sides of the head were smashed by Lin Yu's punch at the same time. The demon dragon dog couldn't even let out a scream, and it was completely dead. Lin Yu breathed heavily, his eyes filled with excitement. Great, this guy has finally been solved. After this guy is solved, you can go find that person. When the evil dragon dog was eliminated by Lin Yu, he suddenly fell to the ground, and then a colorful light began to appear on the throne. The colorful light enveloped Lin Yu, and then Lin Yu only felt that the surrounding scene suddenly changed, and then he saw 4 chains tightly locking a crystal coffin in a huge palace. There is a woman wearing a light green dress sealed in the crystal coffin. The woman is very peaceful, with her eyes closed, lying in the crystal coffin, giving people a sense of peace and tranquility. After seeing this scene, Lin Yu's eyes flashed with complicated colors. At this time, he only felt that this woman was extremely beautiful. What a nice view! Lin Yu blurted out subconsciously. But at this moment, he suddenly discovered that the 4 chains seemed extraordinary. Of these 4 chains, one was wrapped by the power of thunder and lightning, the other was wrapped by the water of the Styx, and the third was wrapped by the cold winter. Although this last one seems ordinary, it contains an indelible will. After Lin Yu saw this scene, he was instantly stunned. He half closed his eyes, rubbed his chin, and shook his head after pondering for a moment. It's strange, it's really strange. Why does the power contained on it give people such a terrifying feeling? What is the power on it? Lin Yu looked like a 2-foot-tall monk, confused, and his eyes were quite solemn. After waiting for a moment, he rushed straight up. At this time, he raised the hammer of Thor and smashed it heavily towards the chain wrapped with the power of thunder and lightning. But at this time, when Thor's hammer hit the chain did not move at all, and even the other 3 forces shot towards Lin Yu at the same time. Lin Yu quickly pulled back, and it took him a long time to stabilize his body, but fortunately, Lin Yu's reaction was relatively fast, and he managed to dodge the attack this time. Lin Yu took a big breath, and then he began to think about what he should do next, but he thought about it for a long time, but he couldn't find a way. After waiting for a while, Lin Yu seemed to remember something, and a few points of determination flashed in his eyes, and then he clenched the Thor's hammer in his hand, and suddenly shot it towards the void. Lin Yu's speed was very fast, but at this time, he clenched his left hand into a fist, and he attacked the Styx water and the chain of Thor's will at the same time. Sure enough, the remaining 2 different forces shot towards Lin Yu. After seeing this scene, Lin Yu's eyes were filled with excitement, because he had figured out the rules behind it. Survival of the Beasts, Awakening the Beast Taming System at the beginning. Author, Ji Sheng Chong. Chapter 548. Although Lin Yu has figured out what these powers are, there is one thing that still calls Lin Yu very difficult. It's not something else, but just because of that ordinary chain. What it contains is the power of reincarnation, and what the other chain contains is the meaning of winter. Lin Yu really didn't know how to obtain these two powers for a while, so he was naturally very urgent at this time. What should I do? What should I do? The voice of the space-time beast sounded in Lin Yu's mind. If I can break through the divine mirror, then my power will be converted into the power of reincarnation. In fact, the power of reincarnation is just the power of time and space. After Lin Yu heard what the space-time beast said, his face suddenly lit up with joy. Really? This means that you have a way to deal with the power of reincarnation. The space-time beast nodded. This is true, but I have to break through to the realm of gods. Lin Yu. After thinking for a moment, Lin Yu gently touched his chin, and then shook his head. Based on the current situation, it is indeed extremely difficult for you to break through, but if you are not asked to break through, I'm afraid it will be a bit troublesome. Headache, headache. Lin Yu just said softly. After waiting for a while, the space beast seemed to remember something. I have a way, I have a way. Is there any way? Please tell me first. I can force a breakthrough, but in that case. The time and space beast paused when he said this. Next, even if the time and space beast didn't speak Lin Yu, he knew exactly what was going to happen. Lin Yu just waved his hand suddenly, and then shook his head. No, it's not like that at all. If I think about it again, I will find a way. The space-time beast was quite touched. But what if it doesn't work? Even if you don't do this task, you will definitely not be able to ruin your talent and do all this for me. In that case, it won't be a big deal. Lin Yu said coldly. The space-time beast was naturally moved. And at this moment, Eternal Thunder Dragon suddenly spoke like this. If my prediction is correct, there should actually be a stone of reincarnation here. These four powers are all powered by their respective origin stones. They should be behind them, but I don't know how to get them. After Lin Yu heard the voice of the Eternal Thunder Dragon, he looked around and found that there was a raised stone where the chains and the walls were connected. When Lin Yu saw this scene, his face instantly became excited. At this time, the smile on his face began to become more and more obvious. Yes, that's it, that's indeed the case. In this case, if we just need to remove these UN stones, then we will have a solution. Eternal Thunder Dragon nodded, but the expression on his face became interesting. Lin Yu seemed to be aware of the strangeness of Eternal Thunder Dragon, and then he said softly, is there something else you haven't told me, right? Lin Yu spoke softly like this, Eternal Thunder Dragon, with a look of embarrassment on his face. Actually, this, that. If you have anything you want to say, just say it, why bother being so hesitant and secretive? It's meaningless. After the Eternal Thunder Dragon pondered for a moment, he said, actually, it's not a big deal. It's just that it's very difficult to take them down by force. There's no need to consider the other three for now, but it's said that Hercules has come before. The purpose here is to get the stone of reincarnation, but this stone of reincarnation is loose. But why didn't Hercules take away the stone of reincarnation? Eternal Thunder Dragon shook his head. As for the reason for this, I don't know. Anyway, I know that this happened in ancient times. Eternal Thunder Dragon said softly. After Lin Yu heard what the Eternal Thunder Dragon said, he just clenched his fists gently, with a bit of determination flashing in his eyes. No matter what, this stone of reincarnation belongs to me today, and I have to take it away no matter what. Lin Yu had a certain amount of determination in his eyes, and then he rushed straight up. He used his left hand wrapped with the meaning of the sticks to tightly grab the chain. But at this moment, the three tyrannical forces shot towards Lin Yu at the same time. After Lin Yu felt the three powerful forces, his face instantly became ugly, but at this moment, he gritted his teeth. No intention of letting go at all. No matter what, let's fight. Lin Yu suddenly pulled the chain and frantically pulled out the stone. After getting the stone of reincarnation, Lin Yu didn't dare to stay for a moment and just dropped it to the ground. He was holding the stone of reincarnation in his hand, and he felt that it would be a bit easy to pull out the stone of reincarnation. Although he had used a little strength just now, it all happened too quickly. Why was the stone of reincarnation pulled out so easily? What happened? I don't know for sure, but according to my speculation, I'm afraid that the original Hercules has already succeeded, and the reason why he didn't take the stone of reincarnation away is because he was stopped by someone. By whom? By whom? Eternal Thunder Dragon shook his head. I don't know what you are talking about. Lin Yu. After waiting for a while, Lin Yu seemed to have remembered something. He just pondered for a moment, and then sighed. Oh, I have a headache. It's really a headache. Now there are only 3 chains left, and these 3 chains don't seem difficult to solve. Lin Yu rushed forward again, and he came to a chain. At this time, he chose the chain that was filled with the coldness of winter. But when he tightened his grip on the chain, he exerted force suddenly, but no matter what, he could not move the chain in the slightest. But those 3 forces had already surged towards him. Now Lin Yu had no choice but to retreat temporarily to avoid their sharp edges. He landed on the ground and took a deep breath. No, this thing is too scary, really scary, and the joints between these stones are very strong, I can't take them off. Eternal Thunder Dragon looked up. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Survival of the Beasts, Awakening the Beast Taming System at the Beginning. Author, Ji Sheng Chong. Chapter 549. Oh, I do have a headache. Nowadays, if these chains are not pulled out, there is no way to unlock the seal about the goddess of nature. The 2 people were stunned for a moment. Lin Yu pondered for a moment. If I can withstand it forcefully, will the attack of the winter spirit be able to break through these? Lin Yu's idea was indeed a bit bold, but now it seemed that this was the only way. After Eternal Thunder Dragon heard Lin Yu say this, he was slightly stunned at first, and then he pondered for a moment. Your idea is really bold. Lin Yu just smiled. It's not like you don't understand me, I've always been so bold. Although I don't know if this will work or not, you can try it. If it succeeds, it won't be so strenuous. Lin Yu gritted his teeth, and then he rushed straight up. His speed was very fast, and then he came to the chains with the meaning of the sticks and the god of thunder. He held the chain containing the power of the sticks in his left hand, and the chain containing the power of thunder and lightning in his right hand. At this time, the chain containing the cold winter surged towards Lin Yu's chest. At this time, Lin Yu did not dodge or dodge, and his eyes were full of determination. Today I want to see how powerful you are. Lin Yu let out a sharp growl. And just after this moment, the force directly penetrated Lin Yu's chest. Lin Yu felt a surge of energy in his chest. At this time, even his face became a little ugly. How is that possible? And that feeling of extreme cold wreaked havoc in Lin Yu's meridians like this. After a moment, a mouthful of blood spurted out directly from Lin Yu's mouth. Lin Yu's face turned pale. But at this time, he also suddenly exerted force, and the 2 identical forces attacked their respective UN stones in an instant. Immediately afterwards, the sound of the 2 chains breaking was heard. Perhaps because the last chain was not strong enough to support the weight of the crystal coffin, after the 2 chains were broken, the last chain was forcibly broken. The crystal coffin fell heavily to the ground. Lin Yu also had a bit of surprise on his face, and he was breathing heavily at this time. After waiting for a while, Lin Yu's expression condensed, and then he quickly pushed the crystal coffin away. At this time, a beautiful face appeared in front of him, that one with the characteristics of Western women. She has a pretty face, skin that can be broken by blows, and her complexion is snow white. Lin Yu just acted like this, and kissed the woman on the face. It was Lin Yu's kiss that made the woman wake up. When the woman woke up, she saw Lin Yu's face. The woman let out an angry roar, like an angry leopard. Same. You bastard, you dare to be so frivolous to me. I think you are so timid because of your courage. After the woman finished speaking, she pushed hard on Lin Yu's chest. Before Lin Yu could react, he was pushed away. His body drew a beautiful arc, then it fell heavily to the ground. The woman suddenly stood up and stood in the void. The woman's beautiful face was filled with a meaning of frost. Even though this woman was extremely beautiful, the anger in Lin Yu's heart was even more indescribable. He clenched his fists and said through gritted teeth, "Asshole, I fought to save you, do you know? How can you repay kindness with hatred like this?" The woman came in the next second. When she reached Lin Yu, she stretched out her hand and grabbed Lin Yu's neck. She said in a cold voice, "You saved me. I really should thank you, but you are so frivolous." "Me, what should I say about this?" Artemis' eyes were fixed on Lin Yu's body, and a cold murderous aura gradually spread from her body. At this moment, Lin Yu just heard an elegant female voice in his mind, "Congratulations to the host, the mission is completed, the reward points are 800 million, please pay attention to check." After Lin Yu heard the female voice, her brows were filled with excitement. At this time, Artemis thought that Lin Yu was still complacent about what had just happened, so at this time, Lin Yu was completely awakened by an angry roar, "Asshole, you chaos Jew, just now you are happy for being frivolous with me, right? If you are happy, then I will make it happen for you today." At this time, Artemis grabbed Lin Yu's neck, swung it round, and threw Lin Yu into the air. Before Lin Yu could react, she was thrown away, and then it was suspended in the air like a sandbag. That Artemis hit Lin Yu so crazily, hitting her so hard that Artemis's fists were like raindrops, and the wind and rain hit Lin Yu crazily. At this time, Lin Yu only felt waves of pain coming from all parts of his body. Even in the end, Lin Yu felt a little numb. However, this clay bodhisattva still had a third degree of anger, not to mention that Lin Yu was still alone. At the end, Lin Yu was a little angry. He suddenly jumped up, and then turned around and kicked Artemis. Artemis never thought that Lin Yu could fight back at this time. At this time, she was furious. The two of them fought happily, but they only used their own strength to fight, without using any divine power or spiritual power. Obviously, this was no different from the flirting between ordinary lovers. After seeing this scene, the Eternal Thunder Dragon and the Fire Kirin squatted aside and watched the show silently. Seeing the two of them so leisurely, I am afraid that only the melon seeds, snacks, and small stools were left. At this time, Lin Yu seemed to have discovered how leisurely these two guys were at the moment. His color suddenly condensed, and the murderous aura on his body was so stern. "You two bastards saw your master being bullied, why don't you come and help?" Survival of the Beasts, Awakening the Beast Taming System at the Beginning. Author, Ji Sheng Chong. Chapter 550. Obviously, the Fire Kirin and the Eternal Thunder Dragon were not moved at all. Artemis roared, "You bastard, you are still thinking of asking for help. I will kill you today." Although Artemis said so, she did not have the slightest killing intention. After the two sides fought for a while, Lin Yu gritted his teeth, as if he had made up his mind, and then hugged Artemis. You should know that since ancient times, Artemis has never been hugged like this, so Artemis' body trembled slightly at this time, and the expression on his face was even a little uncomfortable. "Let me go, quickly." At this time, Lin Yu also started to act like a rogue. Lin Yu just shook his head, "I won't let you go. If I let you go, you crazy woman will shout and kill me again, so I don't want to let you go. I won't shout and kill you, let me go quickly, do you hear me?" The voice of Artemis was trembling slightly. At this time, after hearing what Artemis said, Lin Yu also asked in a low voice, "Are you telling the truth?" 3 black lines appeared on Artemis's forehead, and he was speechless in his heart. "It's absolutely true, there is no falsehood, let me go quickly." At this time, Lin Yu carefully let go of Artemis. At this time, Artemis turned around and swung his palm towards Lin Yu's face, ready to slap him, but it seemed that Lin Yu had already been prepared. Lin Yu grabbed Artemis' wrist, and then said with a smile, "I know you, a woman, have no good intentions." Artemis was also angry at the moment, and she gritted her teeth and said, "You bastard." At this moment, Artemis felt the call in her blood, as if it came from the call of fate in the dark. Artemis looked at Lin Yu, and then sighed, "Alas, maybe everything will disappear, maybe, everything will disappear." After Artemis finished speaking, she disappeared directly in front of Lin Yu. After seeing this scene, Lin Yu was stunned. At this time, he was also lost. After staring at the direction where Artemis disappeared for a long time, he slowly came back to his senses. At this time, the Eternal Thunder Dragon looked at Lin Yu, and a playful smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. "What? Are you sad that he disappeared?" Lin Yu glared at the Eternal Thunder Dragon in a bad mood, and then said in a deep voice, "Whether I am sad or not, it has nothing to do with you." After hearing what Lin Yu said, the Eternal Thunder Dragon had 3 black lines on his forehead. "Tisk, men with no ability will only lose their temper with me." Lin Yu's face turned cold, and then he shook his fist at the Eternal Thunder Dragon, and finally said in a deep voice, "What were you saying just now? Why didn't I hear it clearly? How about you say it again?" Lin Yu's voice was unusually gloomy. At this time, the Eternal Thunder Dragon just whistled like this, and then smiled like this, "He, what did I say just now? I seem to have lost my memory. I didn't say anything just now, I should say nothing." Lin Yu. The two smiled at each other. At this time, Lin Yu seemed to remember something. He hurried back to the mall and then looked at Arya. "Hurry up and help me find a way to save Wanner." Su Wanner nodded, and then immediately deducted 300 million points. Then an ancient book suddenly appeared in Lin Yu's hand. When Lin Yu opened the ancient book, he just flipped through it for a moment, his face sank slightly, and his brows seemed to be twisted together. How could this be? How could this be possible? At this time, the Eternal Thunder Dragon saw Lin Yu like this, and a little curiosity flashed in his eyes. Then he looked at Lin Yu and said softly, "What happened? Why do you look so weird? If you want to save Wanner, you need to go to the sticks." At this time, the Eternal Thunder Dragon just smiled and said, "It's just going to the sticks, you don't have to be so scared. In addition to going to the sticks, you also need to bring Wanner into reincarnation. Wanner's soul has been shattered, so she can only look for the remnant soul in the endless reincarnation. Although there is a way to summon her back, there is only one chance. If this opportunity is used up, then I'm afraid." Lin Yu paused at this point and did not continue to speak, but the Eternal Thunder Dragon also knew what Lin Yu wanted to express. "Alas, don't think too much. There must be a way when the car reaches the mountain. There must be a way." The corner of Lin Yu's mouth just raised a wry smile. "Maybe, I hope it is really what you said, but as of now, this situation is indeed very slim. If you think about it a bit, the book says that you have to wait until 3 years later, when the door to Hades opens, before you can enter. However, that woman's body may not be able to exist for that long, so this seems to be a bit troublesome. I will use the power of my soul to nourish her body, so you don't need to worry too much about this." Lin Yu just said quietly, revealing a bit of helplessness in his words, but there was nothing he could do about it. Lin Yu spoke unhurriedly, with a wry smile on his lips. After waiting for a while, Lin Yu seemed to have remembered something. He just looked up at the sky suddenly, and then said leisurely, "I'm afraid it's time to leave." After Lin Yu finished saying this, he slowly walked outside. At this time, he showed a bit of desolation, giving people a feeling of loneliness and desolation, which made people feel a little helpless. The smell comes out.